This is exercise number 1. So first let's find the key signature. And when we look next to the clef, we see that we have 2 sharps here. And if we remember our mnemonic device for sharps, it was give Dave and Ethel bad fat cats. So if we go by the mnemonic device, give Dave, that's D, so we're in D major. So now let's take a look at the exercise. Our starting note is a D, which in the key of D major is Do. So we're starting on Do. And our ending note is also a D, so we're also ending on Do. And when we look at what happens in between, we see we're staying on pitch and then we're going down in pitch, staying, and then going up in pitch and staying. So we're staying on Do for the second note, and then we're going down to a C, to middle C, which is T in the key of D major, and then we're staying on T, and we're going up back to Do. And the reason why C is T is because in the scale, T is 1 below Do, and then on the staff, C is 1 below D. So now that we've labeled the exercise, we're going to play the starting note, which is a D right above middle C. No, that's not right. And we'll sing. Do, do, ti, ti, do, do. That was exercise number 1. This is exercise number 2. So let's find the key signature. When we look next to the clef, we see that there's 1 flat. Our mnemonic device for flats is Freddie bought Eddie a dented gift, so we know that we're in the key of F major. So when we look at our starting note, we see that we're starting on an F, so we're starting on Do. And when we look at the ending note, we're also ending on an F, so we're ending on Do. When we look at what happens in between, we see we're going down and up in pitch between 2 different notes. So we know that one of the notes is an F. So we have Do here and Do here, because these 2 notes are Fs. And then the notes in between, we go down in pitch by 1 note from F to E. And so we know that if we're going down by 1 note, we're going from Do to T. So we've labeled our exercise. I'm going to play the starting note, which is an F, and we'll get started. Do, ti, do, ti, do, ti, do. That was exercise number 2. This is exercise number 3. So when we look next to the clef to determine the key signature, there's no sharps or flats, so we know that this is in C major. When we look at our starting note, we see that we're starting on a C, which in C major is Do. When we look at our ending note, we are ending on a B, which is 1 note below C, and 1 note below Do, because C is Do, 1 note below Do is T, so we're ending on T. When we look at what's happening in between, we see we're staying on pitch going down in pitch, staying, going down in pitch, staying, going up in pitch, staying. So we know we're staying here on do, then we're going down to a B, which we know from here is T. Then we're going down one more to La, and then up to T. So now I'm going to play the starting note, which is C, C above middle C, and we'll get started. Do, do, ti, ti, la, la, ti, ti. That was exercise number 3. This is exercise number 4. So to find the key signature, we look next to the clef. We see that there's one sharp, and we know in our mnemonic device for sharps that one sharp means we're in the key of G major. And when we look at our starting note, we're starting on a G, so we're starting on do. And when we look at our ending note, which is a D, we are starting on sol. Ending on sol. The reason why this is sol is because it's 3 notes below do. So when we're descending the scale, we have do, ti, la, sol. As a matter of fact, that's what this exercise is, because we're going down in pitch from do, we're going from G to an F sharp, which is T in the key of G major, and then we're going down to an E, which is La in the key of G major. So we're going down the scale, one note at a time. So I'm going to play our starting note, which is G, and we'll sing. Do, ti, la, sol. That was exercise number 4. This is exercise number 5. So when we look next to the clef to find our key signature, we see there's no sharps or flats, so we know we're in C major. And when we look at our starting note, we see we're starting on a C, which in C major is do. And we're also ending on a C, so we're starting and ending this exercise on do. Now when we look at what happens in between, we see we're going down in pitch one note at a time, and then we're going up in pitch. And if you look at this first part of this exercise here, it looks exactly like the previous exercise, in that we're going down from do to ti to la to sol, except instead of being in G major, we're in C major. So we know, based on our previous exercise, we already know what this pattern here is. And that's what's great about sight reading, because interval patterns look the same no matter what key they're in. The notes are just different. So in the last exercise, do, ti, la, sol sounded like this, because it was in G major. But in this exercise, do, ti, la, sol is going to sound just slightly different because it's in a different key. It's going to sound like this. Alright, so then the second half of the exercise is just the inverse of the first, because we're going down and then up in a symmetrical pattern. So we know we're going from sol to la, to ti, and then to do. So I'm going to play our starting note, and I'm going to sing. Do, ti, la, sol, la, ti, do. That was exercise number 5. This is exercise number 6. So When we look next to our clef for the key signature, we see that there's one flat, excuse me, which we know by now means we're in the key of F major. So when we look at our starting note, we see that it's an F, so we are starting on Do in this exercise. And our ending note is also an F, so we're ending on Do. Now, you may notice that visually this exercise looks like a flip of the last exercise. We're going up in pitch one note at a time and then coming back down to Do one note at a time. And kind of did that on purpose because in the key of F, this middle note here, C, is Sol. Oops. So in the previous exercise, we started on Do and then we descended to Sol and then we ascended back up to Do. But in this exercise, we are starting on Do, ascending to Sol, and then descending back down to Do. So we're doing it one note at a time. So we're going right up the scale and then right back down the scale. So we're going from Do to Re, which is G, then to A, which is Mi, then to B flat, which is Fa, then to up to Sol, and then back down to B flat, which is Fa, to A, which is Mi, to G, which is Re, and then to F, which is Do. So now I'm going to play the starting note, which is an F, and I'm going to sing. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, re, do. That was exercise number 6. This is exercise number 7. So when we look next to the key signature, next to the clef to find the key signature, we see that there's one sharp, and we know by now that that is the key of G major. And in G major, G is Do. And when we look at our starting note and our ending note, they're both G, so we're starting and ending on Do. So when we look at what's happening in between, we are going to go down in pitch one note at a time, then up a little, then down, then up. So we know this pattern from previous exercises. We start on G, which is Do, and then we go down to F sharp, which is T, and then we go down to E, which is La, then back up to F sharp, which is T, back down to E, which is La, back up to T, and then to Do. So we're jumping around a little bit. So I'm going to play the starting note, which is G, and we'll get started. Do, ti, la, ti, la, ti, do. That was exercise number 7.